Hello there, boys and girls. I was playing. But no, all right, we here. We get conference finals are all set. Miami already took a commanding 1-0 lead. We got Dallas and Golden State tonight. These four teams are the teams that got here that toughed out the season. It's a marathon. It's the survival of the fittest, as you like to call it. It's all that and the above. Before we get into the intros and all that, are you surprised that these are the four teams?
Yes and no.
Oh, okay.
No, I said that Dallas had a chance early. I said that we talked about that. We said that we thought that Dallas had a good chance to make a run, even though Phoenix looked like the best team in the league for a while. I figured Golden State would be here, and then we get the top two seeds in the East. Boston has been the best team in the East since January or whatever. Honestly, so I'm not surprised that we got here. I did think during that Bucks series, I thought they was ready to pull it out.
That's what she said.
Just because they were, defending champions. I thought champions mentality was going to help them overcome. Boston shut that down. So no, I'm not surprised, but I'm at the same time.
I feel you on that, especially in the Milwaukee one. I think everybody thought even without Chris Middleton, they would figure it out and maybe pull it. Go home and go to the conference finals to have a chance to repeat again. But Boston and their young wing players, there's just a whole team in general. Al Horford as a veteran, they just they stuck it out. Yeah. Picked up a big victory like that. When you hit that many threes, there's nothing other team can do.
Honestly. Yeah, great. In that game, 7 Graham, he took 19 threes, something like that. So, and he was like 7 for 19, 8 for 19, whatever it was. Because it was, if you watch the game, it was tight in the first half. You didn't really know where it was going to go, and then Boston just kicked their ass, basically.
Oh, yeah, with that miss John W.
Fresh hit.
And this is the Hoopers Conference Final specialist. Keep tongue tied there. So, like I said,
it's the Hoopers Conference. I like that too. Like you having a little conference.
But no, like I say, Dallas put out Phoenix, and I know early on in the playoffs, even when Luka got hurt and Dallas won that first game against Utah, I think that's when a lot of people got the idea in their head that Dallas could potentially go to the Western Conference Finals and compete for a championship, because you've seen that the team without Luka was good enough to compete with a team that has championship aspirations as well. It was the top seed in the West last year, and they come out and the supporting players, role players, the other guys, whatever you want to call it, they came out and they did their job without their best player, and then you add that to him, and he doesn't take away from what they do. He just does what he does, and that makes the whole team better as a whole. And how Dallas beat Phoenix, I think a lot of people are surprised. I don't think people are surprised that they won that game 7. Even at Phoenix, but it's the way that they overly dominated Phoenix, right? They look in Phoenix was tied with 27 at the half.
Yeah, they asked Luka, did he know that they had 27? He had 27. He said, of course.
But when you see Dallas and what they did and the adjustments they made to win that game 7, how impressive is that? I guess I don't even have the proper question for it. I guess, but how impressive is that, especially with a team? Bertans and Dinwiddie, Boban might be the oldest players on this team. Like maybe Dwight Powell, I guess, but I feel like Dwight Powell, Keebler, and all those guys came with Luka. Honestly, maybe Tim Hardaway Jr. is the oldest player on this team, Reggie Bullock. But to see a relatively young team like make those adjustments and do that, like how impressive is that in your opinion?
I mean, for one, you got to salute Jason Kidd.
For sure.
Like he started this thing with the Nets, and then took it to the Bucks. That he took a step back and became a champion as an assistant coach with the Lakers. Decided to learn a little bit more about it, and you can see, for one, and as a player that won a championship as a player, also and went to 2 as the best player on his team. You seen the growth in him as a coach, honestly, from him spilling water on purpose on the floor to get a timeout, which was kind of smart and stupid at the time. Right. But you see the growth in what he did, and as a player that thought the game, you understand why people wanted to invest in him early as a coach, because Jason Kidd was always a really smart player, so you see why they want to invest in him early, catch him early. But he went through those growing pains or whatever. So you got to salute Jason Kidd first, and then you also got to give credit to the players. Just how they really stepped up. Luka getting 27 wasn't surprising, but the way Dinwiddie he finished. Luka finished for 30, whatever he had, 40, whatever it was, 30,
something like that,
35, something like that. He didn't play the full quarter.
Right,
but getting 30 from Dinwiddie was so huge for them also. And then Jalen Brunson give you another 24. And then just the defense, too, to just smother Chris Paul, Devin Booker, make it tough for him. And they made it easy for them by playing like garbage.
Right.
But you got to give that credit. And Luka is. I said they could go to the conference finals off the strength of Luka, and then when they won some games without him in the playoffs, I was like, all right, they actually, because just because you don't have the names, they have a team that fits well, and let everybody know their role. And it's sometimes you need when there's no discussion about who your best player is. Right. Luka's our best player. We're gonna go through him. He's gonna have the ball, but everybody still can eat because you know that. And Luka does take up a lot of the possessions, but he plays off the ball some too. That's how Jalen Brunson's able to eat. That's how Dinwiddie's able to eat, and they get everybody connected. But when you got Dinwiddie scoring, Bullock 10 threes, and Bullock is a great defensive player. He's a solid defensive player. He's up for the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Social Justice Award. So salute to him for that. He's knocking down threes. Dallas they're pretty solid. So you got to salute to them in adjustments. And I think the main adjustment was that Phoenix pissed off. I think that's a factor to get away from that side of it. Luka is one of them, as they say. Like, I salute all the young players in the NBA, especially players from this class. But I've said multiple times that ain't none of them on Luka's level. There's no disrespect. Trey just went to the conference finals last year. I think Jason Tatum, I don't really put them in the same class necessarily, but they both young players for the future. Zion, all these guys are really good. None of them guys is Luka. Not one of them.
No, yeah, I think Luka is one of them.
Thing holding him back was Kawhi and Paul George. We need Kawhi back.
Right. He's right. This is what it looked like. This is what it looked like without Kawhi and Paul George on the team out there in the garden. But now, seriously, Luka is one of those players that seem to be. I don't want to say generational because
Luka is generational.
Whatever. I guess I don't know, but it does, like I said, it doesn't take the names with Luka. It just takes the players to know their game and their role. Like
nobody gonna win with bums. First of all,
first and foremost, yes. But like how to the point, I can't wait to see Dallas get a real second star. No, man, we got Luka and we got some dudes who he gonna let ball and they gonna go off. They gonna play off Luka example. Like I don't feel like Luka got like you said, like we ain't gotta come in. Luka ain't gotta say, hey man, y'all get out, y'all getting outside yourselves. Like no, y'all eat, do what y'all do.
Exactly.
But just know I'm here, and that's what you have to guard for.
I do still think Dallas may possibly be a player away.
I can see that.
So that'll show in this series against the Warriors, because I don't think he needs a second star. I think he needs, and that could be Jalen Brunson. I think he needs that other player where when we're really good, he might get a replacement vote as an all-star. And then, but what helps that out is having a borderline all-star player. Maybe he never makes an appearance, but then you also have a player that can contend for 6th man of the year. So it still levels to the talent, opposed to just being such a huge drop-off. But when you got the best players in the league, Luka is one of the ones I don't think needs. He doesn't need a second MVP, second multiple-time all-star. He needs somebody else that can hold the weight, because you're gonna have bad games, rough shooting nights, and it is a team game. So you have to be able to play. No sorry teams win the championship. You still have to be connected as a team, and that the chemistry is just there too. So
sure. And just even if you look what in Luka's short 4 years, that what Mark Cuban has done to improve this team around him every year, getting the right pieces. Like he started with his rookie year, he shipped everybody out of town. Like,
is Mark Cuban the second best owner ever?
I don't know. I know
top 5.
A lot of people don't like Mark Cuban.
I don't even care about the personal side.
But as an owner,
an owner that bought the team at the value he bought it, raised the value of the team, drafted his stars well. Overall, they've always competed. He's won a championship. He's brought revenue to the league. I think Mark Cuban's top 5. He brought personality to owners. Did we really know owners before Mark Cuban? Good or bad? Like obviously you knew Jerry Buss. Obviously Jerry Buss is what I've said, but you really know he was the first owner that was like getting into it with the refs. Remember that was kind of like a thing. Not that we need that.
Wearing jerseys on the sideline, like he's on the bench. He's on the bench. He's on the bench with the players, not in the skybox with the other owners.
Yeah, he was one of the first like that.
Nah,
salute to Mark Cuban.
No, sure. And looking at Dallas matchup Golden State, who I think people figured once Clay gets back, they had a chance to get back this far, even get to a championship. They had some struggles there in the middle of the season. I know at one point they were the 2 seed and they dropped down to the 3rd seed because they were having, players out, injuries and whatnot. Are you surprised that Golden State got here even in that maybe they had some of the, better matchups going against Denver, who's down a lot of players that could have helped, and then Memphis, who was a young team. Do you feel like, because I know this is what you was kind of questioning all year, like how Clay will mesh back and, that would determine they got to the Western Conference Finals or not. Are you surprised they got here?
Well, I knew earlier that they could make the Western Conference Finals, but I didn't know if they could win the championship. I didn't know there was a championship team. That was the difference for me. Was Steph, along with how they were playing, because remember they were at the top for a while, and they did, because Steph went through some rough patches, shooting injuries, stuff like that. They did. They lost Draymond for amount of time. So Clay was the difference maker for me for if they could win the championship, go back to the finals. But their team from the start, they made a jump up from Steph playing with a bunch of G Leaguers. Solidify him with some solid role players. You even get Looney back, who was hurt, veteran that's won some championships, who had some games here or there. So I always thought this team was much better. So I really felt like it was always a collision course for them in Phoenix this year. I thought they were going to be the conference finals because didn't really think Memphis would make it. Never thought Utah would be there. It was always Phoenix, especially towards the end of the season.
Right.
It was always fit for me, Phoenix, Dallas, and Golden State. That's the 3 that could make it to the conference finals.
So, and just looking at this Golden State team, why that core three of Clay, Draymond, and Steph still there, players like Jordan Poole, Andrew Wiggins, Otto Porter, say Kevon Looney, who was on some of those championship teams, played a big GP2, who they haven't ruled out of the playoffs quite yet. So maybe we get.
Yeah, I think he should be back because it was like a 5-week injury, something like that.
Yeah, Steve Kerr haven't ruled him out yet. With this cast, with this basically new cast of players, who do you think get the most credit for? Because I know a lot of times you go on Twitter, you see the Warriors don't develop their young players, but I feel like Jordan Poole has developed as a great rate.
Stupid considering they have Steph, Clay, and Draymond. They developed them. They don't even make no sense.
They develop the young players or whatever.
They don't even make no sense.
But
they get out
but to see that players, like you said, solidified players. Andrew Wiggins was an all-star this year. All-star starter. Otto Porter's been basically a 40% three-point shooter his whole career. Jordan Poole really stepped up a lot.
They missed him last year.
Yeah, they did.
He's gonna be back for this season.
Kuminga, who hasn't really played much in the playoffs, but he gave him a lot of good minutes in the regular season. You think they're gonna be ready for the conference finals? Like Jordan Poole started off the playoffs hot, but I don't think people talked about how he's cooled down a bit.
The Warriors is the team that I'm not picking them to win the championship right now, but they're the team that I would bet on to win the championship. I think they're as with everybody left, they had the most experience clearly.
Right.
If you're a fan of Luka, I understand. I'm a fan of Luka. If you're a fan of Jimmy, I understand. At the end of the day, Steph is really probably the best player that's left, honestly. And he's really just kind of geared back up if you really want to think about it. Like he missed the last however many games of the regular season because he was hurt. He came out of the bench in the first round because he was working his way back from injury. So he's only going to get better. And it's funny because Steph had a down year, obviously shooting-wise, but Steph's down year is a career year for some players. So
right.
It's still a career year for people. And I don't think Steph never really gotten the credit for what he does because of how he looks, because he was the team player, because he could have been not receptive to KD coming there or whatever. So he's always been okay with taking a step back and being about the team winning championship. And obviously people like to hold up his head. He doesn't have the finals MVP. But one thing I know for sure is I think Steph is going to be ready to play. And if there's anybody that I would be the most afraid of how they can go, especially with knowing what Luka could do. Luka could give you 40, 10, and 5. Jimmy Butler can give you 40. Luka can give you 40, 10, and 10. Jimmy can give you 40, 10, and 10. Jason Tatum can go off for 40, 10, and 10. Steph can give you 60. Like, I fear Steph getting hot more than all of those players. And I just said what I said about Luka. So I wouldn't want Steph to go on this crazy run that he's poised to have.
Right, and just looking at the Golden State Dallas series, who's the most important player in this series from either team or from both teams?
From both teams, go Dallas, Dwight Powell. Dallas, I can't even just say Dwight Powell. Honestly. Let me take that back. I just think Dallas overall, I'm gonna put it in 3 players because I think it's given that Luka got to play with. I think it's given that Jalen Brunson has to play with. And 4 players. Maybe that's too many, but they need a combination of Finney Smith, Dinwiddie, Powell, and Bullock to have like they all can't be off the same night.
Right.
Like they can't all go for Bullock got no points. Finney, he give you not Finney, but Dinwiddie give you one of them 5-point games. Powell give you 2 points and 3. A combination of them have to contribute to them to have a chance against the Warriors because the Warriors for one have Steph, but they also will go into their depth. If somebody's not having a good night, like Kuminga doesn't play a lot of minutes, but those games when he's playing well, he'll give him 18. So you're gonna have to compete with that depth that the Warriors. You know what you're gonna get out of Steph. You know Clay's gonna give you possibly 20 to 30 points, 16 to 30, depending on how he's shooting that night. Jordan Poole. So you gotta have those players contribute. They can't get lost in the sauce.
Right.
So I would say they're the most important for them. The Warriors, honestly, like they would be the betting favorites. I think for the Warriors, you need Kevon to play strong. But honestly, since Dallas isn't so big, I take that back because you're not even necessarily worried about having a big out there. For the Warriors, I would say you need Jordan Poole and Clay. They need to contribute the most for them. Get them consistent buckets, and not let Dinwiddie and Jalen Brunson outscore them or outplay them, like Jalen Brunson outplayed Chris Paul. But you need some kind of combination for those Dallas Rovers. I even put Bertans in that. He showed some life in the playoffs.
Right.
Even him, like have a 6 3-point game. They need that sometimes, and they get that. You know what you're gonna get out of Luka. So
yeah, sure. No, yeah, I feel like those players definitely line up. I think Andrew Wiggins is definitely gonna be one of the more be important in the series just for
that's a good pick
because he's like. I know Clay is 6'7", 6'8", but he's not necessarily, even before the injuries, he wasn't necessarily athletic. Like Andrew Wiggins is realistically their only athletic wing on either side of the ball, offensively or defensively. So they definitely gonna need they're gonna need some good defense out of him. I ain't saying nobody's gonna shut down nobody in this series, but they're definitely gonna need Andrew Wiggins to make it tough on whoever he's guarding.
He's gonna be on Luka. Luka gonna get 30, but you just need him to get 30 on 25 shots instead of getting 30 on 20 shots or 18 shots.
So Andrew Wiggins definitely gonna be the most important player for the Warriors. Dwight Powell definitely for Mavericks because coming out that pick and roll between him and Maxi Kleber, like they're gonna have to kind of play. They play like a combined Draymond Green roll where they either popping or they rolling. And
you gotta make Draymond play because since they're gonna throw Wiggins on Luka, so Draymond can basically guard Powell and float around, so he ain't gotta guard nobody. He can guard, but that's what they do. They put you on a player that's not gonna score, so you can be everywhere on the court. So you have to be able to make them pay for that. That's why the Bucks were able to beat. Honestly, why I think why the Celtics was able to beat the Bucks because they were putting Brook on Grant, and it's like you gotta make him pay. He ain't gonna guard you. He just want to stay in the paint. And not that Powell's gonna shoot threes, but Draymond's gonna be like, I ain't gotta guard you. You're gonna be playing off. You can look at Luka, so you gotta be sliding back door, catching them lobs, and easy layups and stuff like that.
Sure. Looking at the other series, we got Boston, we got Miami. This was a rematch from conference final 2 years ago, but these are two totally different teams down from back then. So Boston came out hot, got up big in the first half, with that first half lead going to the third quarter, and Miami turned it all around. I know a lot of people were saying, this is probably a good chance for Boston to go, especially after beating Milwaukee, put out Nets in the first round. Yeah. They're kind of going through the gauntlet right now, and they're proving that they can survive it.
Made it tough on the best 2 players in the association.
No, for sure. But Boston got a lot of experience, especially against the conference finals, not getting to the finals yet. We all know Eric Spoelstra is one of the best current coaches, one of the best coaches of all time. Do you think Boston's multiple scoring options is going to be able to beat out Miami's tough defense? Because we know Miami is going to be able to score with Jimmy Butler, Tyler Hero, players like that. But we know they out there at times. But we know Boston's coming out there. They probably got the 2 best scoring options in this series. Do you think Which one you think is going to win out? Because Boston's also good defense. I think Boston is better defensively than Miami is offensively. But which team style you got winning out?
Miami's a really good team. They're really good at playing their style of play, roughing it up, slower half court, play through Jimmy at times. I think Boston just overall, like they can do the same thing as Miami, but I think they're talented at more positions that's doing the same thing. I mean, Miami has Jimmy and they have Bam. You got Hero. And then you got the specialists that's going to do what they do. Gabe just had 17 last night. I don't know what Strus had, but he knocked down some threes. But Miami does go, and Boston has had that problem at times too. But Miami goes through really bad scoring droughts. And I think at times Boston could be too much for Miami. They had a good comeback win last night. Jimmy Gibbs for 40, obviously. Jason Tatum had 7 in the second half, 8 points in the second half.
That happens, but you can't.
I still think at points to me. That won that game in the quarter. They stomped on them in the third quarter. 39. I feel like Boston chances in the series.
And just looking at the coaches, like the average coach who got that experience. Is I mean, first year as a head coach, but he got championship experience with the Spurs.
With the Spurs, won championship in Miami.
Do you think there's a chance that with whatever Ime can can come up with some things that Eric Spoelstra probably haven't seen offensively or defensively, kind of get an edge in the series?
Not necessarily something that he hasn't seen, but just with the players that he could do it with. Boston is just so versatile. And that's the thing I think, even outside of not having Chris Middleton, I think the thing that hurt the Bucks the most is the Bucks. They will get physical with you because they were big, but that's kind of what Boston want to do. So Miami wants to get physical. They're the rough team, but Boston doesn't mind getting physical either. And you probably would think that when you see their best players, the slight skin, Jason Tatum. Sorry, no disrespect, but you wouldn't think he wants to get rough with Jason Tatum. He'll get down to it. But I just feel like Boston has the same players. Like I was watching, I watched PJ Tucker out there, and I'm like, what's really the difference between PJ Tucker and Grant Williams? Grant is a little better, honestly. That's kind of the difference. Obviously, Bam is the best position at center, but Bam's playing real. He played good defense. I know we're going to look, Bam's a great defensive center. He's probably the best defensive center in the league. Is that crazy to say? That Bam's the best defensive center in the league, unless you like Gobert, obviously. But outside of Gobert, which I would take Bam over Gobert. Bam's probably the best defensive center in the league. I think Al Horford and Robert Williams together would be enough to do. Sometimes giving you 10 points. Love his defense. Love his defense. I'll say it again. Love his defense. I hate that Bam is scoring 10 points.
Nah, he got to do more than that.
Come on, man. I just feel like he
contribute more offensively.
Honestly, Robert Williams is really good. He played really well, but it's clear that he's still kind of coming back from his injury or whatever. And he kind of not retreated, but he got bumped in the last series, which is why he missed a couple games. So it's clear that you can kind of go at that. But it's just always some holding Bam back offensively or whatever. So, I mean, I don't really know.
No, and this is, like I said, this is a series where Miami is going to want to get physical with them. But like I said, it's just survived Milwaukee. You wanted to get physical with them. I'm not saying series like this, just like in that Milwaukee series. This is where Jaylen Brown is going to be important for this team because even though he is a three-point shooter, he do like to shoot his mid-range shots, three-pointers. He will get to the basket. He does absorb contact, get to the free throw line. You give him that space, he will dunk on you. How important is Jaylen Brown to this series? And not even just Boston overall, but just in this series in general.
Very important overall because Miami don't really have someone to match his points and what he could do. Jaylen averaged 26 in this league. He can give you 40 out there also. He can give you 50 out there also. Especially when he's playing under control. I think at times he goes ISO too much. I think at times he settles for jumper shots too much. Like I said about Jason Tatum also. They both play really similar, honestly. Jason Tatum probably has a more fluent half-court offensive game overall. But they both settle for jumpers a little bit too much at times when they get to the basket a little more. But here's some efficient, high-scoring games out of Jaylen Brown. Who does Miami really have to counter that? Especially if Bam, it's probably going to be Tyler Hero, that's going to create offense and score and stuff like that. I think Marcus Smart, when he comes back, will bother Hero a little more.
Yeah.
I think that was a key miss last night.
Well, all right.
But Jaylen Brown scoring and him being this is a better series for him defensively. I think also because Jaylen is he's a solid defensive player. But last year they would kind of get switched with him on Giannis because Giannis is way bigger than him. I mean, he's just like he's gonna kill you out there. But I mean, he can guard the players that he's gonna be on with them. Right. So they're gonna need his defense and they're gonna need some better scoring.
All right. Just and looking at Miami, like I said, Coach Jimmy Butler's gonna be Jimmy Butler half. We got a couple 40-point games this playoff. Yeah, you need Bam to step up more offensively anyway. Who do you see him being the most important player for Miami? Duncan Robinson still has some people are still asking for Duncan Robinson, but he's still probably not gonna get heavy minutes.
Let it go.
Who do you see being Miami's most important player this series?
I'm gonna go with a trio of players again. I think it's a mix of Strus, Hero, and Gabe Vincent. Providing and you can even put Depot in that. The other players is gonna provide offense for them. You're gonna need you could throw PJ Tucker as far as hitting his corner threes and stuff like that, but the other players is gonna handle the ball. They and they're gonna be trying to threes for Strus. Depot can score off the bench, go one-on-one and stuff like that. They're gonna need them to be able to also provide offense because Miami has been successful with Jimmy in these playoffs scoring 40. But I saw somebody said, I think it was the Philly round, maybe it was even against the Hawks. It was sometimes this playoffs. It works. We saw him do it in the finals and take him to the finals that way, but that's not really how they play. How Jimmy's scoring 40 and just completely taking it. Miami's really scary when everybody's eating. Bam is facilitating, getting buckets in the paint. Jimmy's getting his mid-range buckets. Hero's knocking down threes. Strus is knocking down threes. Caleb Martin's knocking down threes. They really Jimmy's their best player, but they really feed off of everybody. But they don't necessarily need Jimmy scoring 40 more in the 25 to 30 range. So, but I think Gabe Vincent, Depot, and Strus are the most important. I say Hero, but I'll take him out because especially without Kyle Lowry, it would be just a given that he should step up.
Right.
But those players, the role players are always key in the playoffs. I expect the stars to perform, period.
And for Boston, who's their most important players?
For Boston, definitely Marcus Smart.
Mm-hmm.
And so we'll see with his health because they missed him last game. Defensive player of the year. He's going to be on Jimmy. He's going to guard Hero. I wouldn't even be surprised to see him on Bam at times.
Right.
Like he's going to guard a little bit of everybody, so they're going to use Marcus Smart. And I think Grant has shown how important he is to this team, providing some buckets because he's going to kind of get the last thought about player on offense at times. So he got to be able to score the bucket. At times when he was the go-to player for one of the teams that he was on, and he could provide scoring. So that's what they're going to need for him to at least be able to give him some buckets. But, yeah, they're going to need them for sure.
Yeah. I think Peyton Pritchard is one of those players that Boston not lean on, but they're going to need however many minutes he's getting a night, they're going to need all those minutes to be productive and impactful because he can provide both offensively and defense. I feel like he's going to be able to get in there. I feel like he's going to play. They might match his minutes with Tyler Hero minutes. Especially with Marcus Smart not being out there.
Right. And he had 14 in the first half, 4 points in the second half. So
we cranked up defense. Do you expect to see another performance like that where
what is Marcus Smart? What's his injury? Like is he missing multiple games or
I'm not sure because I know Al Horford's in health protocols. Right. I don't know exactly
what's up,
Marcus Smart, right. So not yet for sure. But like I said, it's the conference finals, got Boston, Miami, Golden State, Dallas. 15 years ago, we had the We Believe Warriors against Dallas in the first round.
Now Dallas are they the We Believe team? Because the We Believe team is the underdog.
No, I don't think with a player like Luka you can be a We Believe team. And we believe in Luka now. Just like
Dallas the underdog.
Right. But all these teams are teams who you can see out throughout the season had good tendencies. You got the best players on left in the playoffs. Out of all the players, not who's the best player because of course you've already said Steph. Some people don't feel like it's Luka. Skip Bayless said Jimmy Butler. I did say that on purpose. A lot of people probably gonna say Jason Tatum.
Yeah, but all 4 teams have a strong player.
Number one option. But who's gonna out of all those players, who's gonna be the best of the best? Who's gonna be the most important player to help their team get to that next level?
I think Luka, as far as that, if Dallas makes it to the finals, their role players obviously played really well. Like that's gonna be really key. But it's really gonna be on the shoulders of Luka averaging 30, 8, and 8. Like kind of really that simple. Like he's gonna have to provide that for them. Because that's what's gonna open stuff up for everybody, for them forcing double teams or even if they single coverage you because they don't want him hitting open players. Now you got to beat your man one-on-one or whatever. So yeah, as far as getting there, because I think everybody else has, like I said, salute to Dallas. They play well together. They're connected, but you can say everybody else has a better team, better overall team, deeper teams. Because at the end of the day, Steph still has a combination of Clay, Draymond, All-Star starter, Andrew Wiggins, and Jordan Poole.
All-Star
right. Jason Tatum has Jaylen Brown, Defensive Player of the Year, Marcus Smart. Jimmy has former All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year, candidate. I think he finished 4th. Bam. Tyler Hero, 6th Man of the Year. Eric Spoelstra's top 15 coach of all time. That's not me just saying it, but the list, he was on the top 15 coaches of all time. So everybody kind of has something still. While Luka, respect to the players that they have, Jalen Brunson's about to get paid. Jason Kidd has shown, why people thought he could be a good coach from the start, but they're still the upstart team, honestly, of them all. So they're definitely gonna have to get there on the back of Luka, and that's with him scoring and with knowing, hey, let me let them cook because he eating. So let me make sure I'm letting my people touch the ball too.
Right. Who's the best coach in this series before we get out of here?
Which one?
Who's the best? Yeah, who's gonna be the best coach left in either series?
Ime Udoka is the best coach because Nia Long is his wife. He's clearly the best decision maker. He clearly is the best winner.
Got the best strategy.
He got the best strategy. He
best motivator.
Most motivational speaker. He's clearly the greatest guy left of them all. Ime Udoka. Final answer. Best coach left.
I actually agree with that.
On the strength of Nia Long.
All right,
man. Nia Long. He has married Nia Long. He know what he's doing.
Okay.
Ime Udoka. Final answer. Salute to him.
But I think we can get out of here after that.
Nah, but for real, it's you gotta respect. I respect Eric Spoelstra
for
real,
sure.
But I don't like to disrespect Steve Kerr.
No,
so Steve Kerr is the best coach left. And honestly, respect Eric Spoelstra. He learned from the OG Pat Riley. He has a strong argument of being the best coach left, but it's Kerr for me is really not close. And I really like Eric Spoelstra, but it's really not close with me. It's Steve Kerr, 5-time champion, came up under Lou Olson, Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich. Like what? Steve Kerr by far. Spoke he got Pat Riley, and I respect him being the video guy, being video guys ourselves. That matters. But yeah, Steve Kerr.
That's another conversation. But I think we can end it right there. Like I said, this was the Hoopers Conference Final Special. Like I said, Miami's already up 1-0 on Boston. Dallas and Golden State is tonight. 8 o'clock? 9 o'clock? That's on TNT, so it don't really matter because TNT sucks.
Yeah, and they're going to be late, so you already know they're 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Yeah, I'll be on by 9:45.
Yeah, 9 o'clock.
But other than that, you got anything else?
I just, as always, appreciate the viewers. Shout out to the Off the Ball Network. You can find us anywhere podcasts are available. Search the Hoopers Pod, Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio. They even on YouTube. So go to YouTube, search the Hoopers Pod, subscribe to the Hoopers Pod. You can go back and watch any old episodes and stuff like that. Every Wednesday here on the Off the Ball Network's Facebook page, the Hoopers Pod YouTube page, and the Hoopers Pod Twitter page. Usually at 12. We pushed it back today, but we'll be back next week at 12. So check us out. That's all I got.
John W.
Appreciate it.
This was the Hoopers Conference.